So simple. It's beautiful. I want to heat up 20 large, metal paper clips to about 375 degrees. Obviously, obtaining the paper clips is the easy part. The heater box must be small and easily stowed away when not in use. Usage would be about 4 times per week. I've already tested the idea via placing the clips in the oven and it works perfectly. I've spoken to 17 biz owners and they have validated the need. Yes, all of them. What heater boxes are already out there that I could use? I will be more specific if I get any responses. Also, if this is not the right forum for this question, I'd certainly be appreciative of other suggested websites. Originally, my thought was to heat a small metal strip with a protective housing and just slide the clips onto the strip. However, I gotta think there is already something out there. Any ideas? As always, I appreciate the help. What the hell? Why would anyone want to heat up their paper clips? How is there a business need for this? I'm missing something obviously, hahaha. So, your input is. No need to respond if that is all you got. Wouldn't a portable or small kiln fit the bill? No, not a kiln. Think about something you may place on a kitchen countertop. Thanks for the reply though. Why do people want to heat up large paper clips? Don't get hung up on the why. Get hung up on the how. Countertop pizza oven, countertop craft or clay oven, toaster oven. Make a small toaster oven. Find a small cheap one and take it apart. Or get a curling iron, take it apart and install a box around it. Or use a soldering iron in a skinny box. Attach a timer to it. Or get a heating wand and just put in on a heating pad and lay the clips on top of it. Keep going. I thought these same things. But remember, we are talking paper clips, need a much smaller version. Thanks for the response, but I don't want to reinvent something I believe is already out there. Also thought about think shoe holders on the back of a closet door, heated up like an electric blanket but a much smaller version. What product would be out there that would want to heat a tiny object to 375 in an enclosed manner? Many a laboratory machine, but it would be very expensive. Don't understand how a shoe holder would help. If you pass an electrical current through the paper clips, they will surely heat up to desired temp. This would require a variable power supply and some trial and error. No need to heat through convection like a standard oven, so this should eliminate the issues that a flame presents. Some really wide hair straighteners? If you look up hot plate on Amazon, you can find a lot of products for less than $20. If you look up electric kettle, you can find a lot of products for less than $10. I am not sure if either of those will reach 375 dgef. Also, if you decide to go custom, you can find heater panels here. Start a bonfire with lots of pine needles and branches, watch it roar 20 miles high. Stick a pot in the fire with the paper clips. I'm sure they'll melt. I've melted lots of things that way just experimenting. Maybe an induction heater is what you need. You can find a good explanation of the way it works on Wikipedia. Good luck. A spring-mounted extension tray onto your existing electric kettle element that provides a miniature area visible when kettle is nearly empty. Extends the element when not in use. Caution, this may not be legal, or safe. Lol. In Europe we have 220 volt electricity. Enough to kill. Edit, just thinking now. A 25mm x 25mm galvanized steel corrosion-resistant solid steel block, that could potentially use any secondary source of heat through conduction to meet desired temperature. Good luck with it. Have you thought about snooping around in here a bit? There's over 200 pages to go through of different types of heater boxes. Maybe something will lead you in the right direction. Does it matter the paper clips are heated? Radiation, Conduction, induction? Perhaps a miniature crockpot. This may be the way to go. All you would need is to have an electrical supply, i.e. a wall outlet, rig up a current and it should heat it up fine. Controlling how much it heats up, as Turbo says, would require trial and error, varying the amounts of voltage, etc. I hope you're not going to do what I think you're gonna do with those heated paper clips. Nope. There are some really great responses. Thanks to all for taking your time to respond. I will keep you posted. Sounds like a heating stove that some hairdressers use for heating curling irons would do the trick. It's small enough and gets really hot. I'm officially lost. You must unlearn what you have learned. Ha, ha, a million ways to burn a paper clip. You could have already burned it by now. I will try to clarify. I've got a product I am bringing to the market. I've done a quick patent search and less than 10 similar items are out there. The businesses I've spoken to serve the market I am going after. Therefore, their input as to the need of the product gives me some initial validation. The product would be used 1 to 4 times per week or as needed or desired. It has to be heated up to bring the real benefits. Nobody is currently doing this. The heater should be small enough to be able to be stowed away in a drawer. Clear as mud? What are you talking about? Reread the op. A car cigarette lighter reaches between 1200 and 2100 degrees. Not a countertop product, I know, but perhaps you could reverse engineer it back to suit your particular needs. I would think this could be made for you at a rate that would not alter your price point. Hi, I am very wealthy investor and I like your idea. I'm willing to invest at least $10 million on this idea and the idea only. Where do I send my check to? Hell, where do I send my bags full of cash? We can start a business together even though I hardly know you. You bring in the ideas, I bring in the capital, connections and champagne. For when we celebrate our $50 million IPO. And remember, if you can dream it, you shall achieve it. I hate to keep answering your question with more questions, but I think a few things need to be clarified. Call me over analytical, but I have a hard time getting around it. How quickly do the paper clips need to be heated? Do they need to be held at the temperature for any length of time, steady state, or is this just transient heat transfer? Are you trying to make the footprint of the oven as small as possible? Does the opening need to be any particular shape, round, flat, square? Top loading, front loading? I can think of a few ways to arrange 20 paper clips and bring them up to your target temp, but they don't all fit the bill. Does your oven need to be sealed, or can it have one or more open ends? So like this, only smaller. Mini mag furnace used for ammunition, I think mini furnace for heating samples. This is a simple problem you can figure out on your own. Set up some parameters, search for results that fit in those constraints, select the best. Getting guys to just brainstorm is very may, just due diligence by searching for heating methods, noting them down, then studying them. If we can solve it by guessing that is not a suitable barrier to entry for your product. Do this professionally and figure it out rationally. Or maybe change the question to, looking for heaters X size. Any of you heard of anything? Okay, I'm lost now too. So I'll be the first to ask this question. Is this a f***ing joke or are we being serious, guys? Sorry, I just had to ask, cuz if this is a joke it's getting f***ing lame now. Kill it already. Thanks for the detailed questions. How quickly do the paper clips need to be heated? Do they need to be held at the temperature for any length of time, steady state, or is this just transient heat transfer? Are you trying to make the footprint of the oven as small as possible? Does the opening need to be any particular shape, round, flat, square? Top loading, front loading? Does your oven need to be sealed, or can it have one or more open ends? Why are we heating paper clips? Is it just me? Agree, asking some forum members how to heat some paper clips seems like a sketchy road to starting a business. Soldering iron with temperature control? Small, portable, heats up quick, cools down quick, in this case to 900 degrees max. Of course it's usually used to solder electrical components together, but without the solder, I'm pretty sure the heat will do what you want with a paper clip. How do you do diligence? I have seen you write this more than once. Are you telling him to be diligent? Relax. I think he is serious. He is just asking for some ideas. Ideas are free, anyway. Nobody here owes him their idea, likewise, he does not owe anybody an explanation. Come on guys, he's just looking for an easier way to smoke his oils and waxes. Bongs are too pedestrian. Due diligence 1. General, measure of prudence, responsibility, and diligence that is expected from, and ordinarily exercised by, a reasonable and prudent person under the circumstances. Read more. How about just make a paper clip hanger that drops into a toaster? This is a sketch of my initial vision. Ah, I get it now. I remember in college, we'd heat a penny on top of a light bulb, and then throw it to somebody. Their natural instinct was to catch it, and hilarity would ensue. This is the executive toy version of that, right? Why do these businesses need to outsource their paperclip heating needs? Or is this a part of something bigger? You outline needs and you search at the same time. So doing diligence on a heater, for example, means seeing if what you are designing is even possible first, then looking at capacity and requirements for the end user second, then looking at costs and availability etc. third, then looking to see if it can be altered or added to meet your exact needs. An example might be that you look up all forms of heating, that you subtract anything that reacts with metal like microwaves, liquids etc. You then might look at cost per unit or what overall runs cheaper according to size and what size you'll need for the scales you might likely use, and the availability. Is it a small item that is produced en masse or is it a one-off industrial purchase? What is the job that needs to be done? What is preferred by the consumer? How should the end process flow together with other elements of the business? Do people heat clips themselves? Is this a consumer appliance, or self-serve? That means you need something safer and with a capped higher end so it doesn't light fires or burn people or employees heating it. Similar concerns, but they can be trained or given special gloves and equipment. Or can this be automated and industrial, churning out 1000s per second? The idea of diligence is that you keep pushing the envelope and searching for valid concerns that spring up off of each contingency of use. You do it fairly rapidly because most questions are dead simple to answer, and at the end you will know exactly what you need for the system. It's the same for any biz opportunity. Let's say that toilets have just been invented and everyone is using newspaper to wipe. A man comes up to you and says there has to be a better way, and you build a business around it. You cannot instantly say, oh, let's invent toilet paper because it being on a roll at a certain size isn't obvious cues before you have only ever used newspaper. The manufacturing procedure that makes it soft isn't known to you. You have to make sure it flushes and doesn't clog. Invent the little squares, double layers, etc. etc. You call it doing diligence because it requires you to endure maybe 10 steps, all with sub-steps that are bound to be somewhat uninteresting or tedious but crucial. Some guy skips diligence. He creates a wipe pad similar to hand tissues you use after washing your hands. It's too big, it rashes your sensitive area. It's so thick and clunky you don't get it all clean, it clogs, so you need to push diligently at the problem to help spur its evolution. Size changes solutions for making it more comfortable, maximize and streamline utility, water solubility, no wax etc. This diligence process is the work of business. You should be able to do it at the drop of a hat. For example, In a restaurant IT cleanies are food fresh, and do we cycle all inventory by daily or weekly according to section? Are all utensils being handled or washed or dried properly? Do cooks have clean hands and hair nets? Are all items stored correctly? Don't want milk display cases getting hit by the sun, etc. That has to be instant. You have to pull all that out of thin air and keep wondering if you got it all. You have to keep cycling over different aspects and constantly make further progress on simple stuff. Guys on the internet can't do diligence for you unless it's their area of expertise and you already have most of the diligence done, and they can check it and make sure you don't forget anything. A second look helps. You can't ask a person to figure out the perfect solution all in one because you are sure it should exist. It might not exist, or it might be everywhere. You just need to start checking. Diligence isn't fun times, so it's up to the guy making the profit that has to burden the responsibility. If you don't, then that's idiotic and your business is never going to work. Cues you are as lazy as an old dog on a porch in the summer. More or less that's diligence. This seems awfully expensive for your intended use. To create a customized heater for clips. As a science project, this is really easy. You go to the hardware store, and you get the gear you need. You make it up and connect it to a small battery. The resistance in the plating can heat the clips. Just make sure you add a fuse-type device so it clicks off at the right heat, and have a switch. Let's say I'm heating stones in a nice little display case for hot stone therapy and selling this case to spas. I'd probably create an electrical hot plate and have its max cap set low, and add a few levels of heat option. But I can't create that until it's validated by orders queues. The manufacture of this special size and shape appliance is expensive. Seems like a big risk to me. I'd search for heating pad components, go to an engineering forum, and figure out the easiest route to assembly. How about a simple Bic lighter? Or a handheld torch like these? It's called a slow cooker or crockpot. I see many rebranded crockpots in beauty spas, and sold at a premium. Autoclave. A desktop sterilizer. This thing still makes no sense to me. If anyone is interested in following the white rabbit, search YouTube for nitinol, the metal that paper clips are made out of. Interesting material. Never knew this. I think I see what the op is going for. I can't say I think this is a necessary invention or a problem that really needs solving, but I could be wrong. Best of luck. Swoop. I don't know why, but I lost it reading this. Did you build a prototype yet? Not yet, but that is my #1 priority. After seeing my sketch, do you have any suggestions for the prototype? Easy bake oven. Not sure how long it would last, but the new model heats up to 375. To be honest, I would have already made 2 to 3 prototypes. You have so many options to start with. I can knock out 2 to 3 protos, but why? I know the product works. I need a legit proto that looks good and fit form function well. I'm ready to put this in the hands of actual customers. Because you need proof of concept first. Then you make a prototype out of the best one. Your prototype has nothing to do with the product working. You need to know if your prototype can make your product. Sorry if I am being a little slow as to your reasoning here. First of all, thanks for your feedback and getting engaged. I really appreciate it. I can have a proto done by tomorrow, maybe. But it will look like a homemade pose. It will function and perform the intended purposes. Remember, I am only talking about heating up clips to 375 degrees. I can't take that to potential customers to trial it. Do you know what I mean? Weirdest thread ever. The fact is, there are a million ways to heat something up. Every one of them comes back to the exact use because you want to choose the one that gives an optimal experience to the user of the device. For example, durability. Is this used once a day or needs to be on for an 8-hour workday every day, year in year out, etc. That leads directly into power requirements. If it is on all day, we don't want it wasting insane amounts of electricity. Now it leads into where the device will be kept. Does it need to be a well-insulated means of heating so nobody bumps the outside of the contraption and gets burned, for example, which seems like common sense, but is not a concern with the design of a soldering iron, so we can't assume anything. If we don't know the purpose, these minutiae all have to be laid out explicitly instead of just using common sense, which is very painful. By no means am I demanding you reveal it, but just saying the dependency is huge. How do you know it will work? How fast will it heat it up? Does the outside box get hot? Will it burn whatever it is sitting on? Is it got to the touch? What's your timer mechanism like? If you can have it made by tomorrow, tell me exactly how you would build it. And I hear what you all are saying. I can make a functioning proto. Meaning I can make a hot box that will heat up the clips to the desired temps. I've proved the concept heated up samples in my oven and it works. My next step is to create a true proto. Meaning a plastic housing, probably thermoset material, to encase the heating elements. I've sent out RFQs to Thomas and Alibaba. If I could create the proto on my own, I would. But, I don't have the equipment or know how to design an injection mold for the housing, nor do I feel comfortable being able to design a sleek look. Heating up samples in your oven is not the same as heating up paper clips in a small box. Yes, your product has a simple goal, to heat up paper clips to 375. What you need to do is build small function unit based on the parts you think you need. You are going to spend money designing something that may not work. You said you could build a working prototype in a day. So tell me, what kind of heating element are you using? What are its specs? How do you know when it has reached 375? Does it shut off automatically? What size is it? I am thinking this is just taking action to be taking action. A simple thermostat or thermocouple takes care of knowing when it reaches 375 and shuts it off. The 375 is not all that critical. Plus or 50 degrees is acceptable. Size needs to be about 12x4x4. All I'm saying is that everything works in theory until you build one and test it. I would not be comfortable going into a prototype without ever proving your design or concept. This is a simple mock-up, so I personally would build one. You can make things easier or harder for yourself later. How do you know what the specs of your heating element are? How fast will this particular element heat the clips? What size is it? What is readily available? Without even knowing this, how can you spec out the exterior case? Do the clips sit right on the element? Or is the element attached to a tray or plate? Or do you expect the inside of the entire box to reach 375? What kind of thermocouple? What's its size? In your mind, you have everything laid out. But when it comes time to find the parts, you probably want standard sizes and what's readily available being used in other products so you can get them cheap. But you have no idea even what these are. Sure, you can hire someone to design the whole thing, but it will cost you. Just an example off the top of my head. You tell your designer it needs to heat 20 clips in 5 minutes. So your designer may spec a heating element of 12 inches based on your design requirements, but maybe every single curling iron in the world uses 11 inches heating element. So the 11 inches one costs $50, but a 12 inches one is custom and costs $2.50 if you buy 1,000 of them. Problem is the 11 inches element would heat the clips up in 7 minutes instead of 5. Is it okay? He doesn't know, he's just designing based on your specs. But you don't know this, so your finished product now costs $10 when it could have cost $5. Very, very valid points. Thanks for your insight. These are all of the things that I can let bother me and slow down the process. I don't want to get hung up on paralysis by analysis. At the end of the day, I'm talking about heating up clips, not paper clips. That's why I sent out RFQs. hoping to initiate some conversations and identify common parts, current designs, etc. I recently watched this video. One of the designers involved with the first 4 years of the Roomba details all the unforeseen problems his team went through during mass production of their product. It is basically a rehash of what you have been saying, but it reinforces your points. The basic summary: 1 Lots of unforeseen issues come up during testing. 2 Some issues are missed during testing and make it to mass production. 3 Making HW is hard, nothing is easy until it is done. 4 Fixing one problem often introduces a new problem. The video talks about other interesting experiences, but I listed only the pertinent topics. Will it melt at 375 degrees? Also, why this temperature? Are you molding it? Trying to think of other methods to heat it, or exactly. I know I have a product that provides value and solves a need. Also, I realize I am very early in the process. I just need to talk to some experts and proceed from there. An NDA and provisional are next on my list. Prototyping and testing is part of the process. It sounds to me like you are skipping that part and jumping straight to sourcing. Talking to suppliers is a good way to know what is out there, but it would be advisable to have a prototype before going too much farther. Also, if you are considering filing a patent, having a prototype will help you find, fix, and file all the unobvious issues in your product's design, thereby fulfilling the most important criteria of a good patent. To be honest, I am feeling a little overwhelmed. I would love to build a proto, but I don't have the expertise to build the housing. Everything else is simple, basically a small version of a toaster oven. In addition, I need to apply some heat-resistant tape so one could grab the ends without pain. I wonder if you couldn't somehow find a person locally with a lot of expertise in electronics and materials like casings and pay them $1 to spend a Saturday with you hacking together a prototype with bits from Radio Shack and Home Depot. As ugly as possible but as accurate as possible in terms of measurements and real-world temperatures reached. E.g. What temp the external casing reaches when 1 or 2 inch pieces surround the heating elements. Have you thought about possibly tossing an ad up on Craigslist or working your personal contacts just in case your dream engineer wouldn't mind making some spare $1 to tinker for a day? Just a wild suggestion. Looks like a Stirling engine. Hopefully those engines have enough torque, or else they will be equally as useless. When you were just brainstorming ideas, I was right behind you. Now, I do not know what to tell you. You got great advice from Bioface and you are going to ignore it. First you were saying it would take only a day to build a prototype, now you are not sure how to build the housing. Which is it? My advice is to learn by doing. In case you did not know, thermal is a bitch. Companies hire PhDs just to deal with thermal problems in servo designs and power supplies. You want to make a tabletop, compact, enclosed, handheld something running around 200 degrees and you think it is going to be easy? Also, in companies the development cycle for a new product goes something like: 1 Concept planning, 2 Project planning, 3, 4 development cycles, usually 2, less than equals prototypes involved, 5 pre-production, 6 mass production. It does not take a few days or weeks from your idea to a finished design ready for mass production. For large quantities, it takes longer than that just to set up lines. For a large company, a small, initial test run can run from 50 units to 1,500 to whatever. This is because even though your prototypes are perfect, during mass production problems crop up that are totally unexpected because of HW manufacturing tolerances, software issues, and C. You have to make a run and test each unit individually. You also have to test your end-of-line testing machine and make sure it can detect any defects. Also, there is a methodology for the test runs quantity and how many runs there are, obviously. Take a look at the video I posted. things are not until you have it running the way you want with no problems. If you think you are just selling them a toaster oven, then try to sell them a toaster oven and save yourself the effort of trying to develop something new. If you watched the video, you have seen that your product price point should be roughly X for the bill of materials cost. So if you are trying to sell your oven for $20, your BOM should be $5 or less. How do you know if you should go forward unless you think you can make a decent margin? Try to build a prototype. I gave you a rough sketch of the development process. Even simpler, it goes like this: I build a working prototype that works exactly the way you would want it to work if you were the customer too. Guess what? It is too damn expensive. 3. Now start replacing the expensive parts with cheaper shit until it breaks. 4. Repeat steps 2 and 3 ad nauseam. Finally, you have your finished design. The only other advice I can think to give is to find the closest suggestion in this thread to what you want to make and buy it. Tear it down and find out how it works. Take note of any part # you can find. Driving circuit for the heating element, temperature control, and the heating element should be saved as well. You might not be able to tell what the parts are or where they came from. See the manufacturer of the product you eviscerated. Did steps 1 to 6. Figure out if you can meet your specification. Cheaper. Repurpose it into your product. Make sure it works without burning your house down or outgassing all kinds of plastic shit in your kitchen or whatever. I do not know much about materials or thermal issues. Also, I do not know any good books about product development. It would not hurt yourself to go out and find one. I did not write this post to tear you down. I am just trying to tell you that building HW can be a long process and you should not think it is trivial to go from idea to finished product. Follow the normal development process and do not skip steps. Bioface was trying to say this, I think. Usually 2 or more prototypes, 3, 4 are made for a product because the first one has problems that are solved in the second. All decisions are up to you, but I suggest at least making the first prototype yourself and farming out the second, based on the first. You will learn more and having a prototype to work off of will help both you and your third-party engineer. Be forewarned that your product idea can still be a bust even if there is demand, but you cannot drive the price low enough. I wish you the best of luck. Excellent post and thanks for taking the time to reply. Just to clarify a few things. Now, I do not know what to tell you. You got great advice from Bioface and you are going to ignore it. I am not ignoring this at all, just absorbing everything and trying to process it. First you were saying it would take only a day to build a prototype, now you are not sure how to build the housing. Which is it? It would take less than a day to build a crude version, not an acceptable version to pass out to gain feedback. This is what I kept getting hung up on. I want to skip the crude version and build or buy something that I would pass out to a select few for trial and error and start to refine based on that feedback. And yes, I definitely understand this will take some time to develop. I've got a few ideas on modifying some current heaters out there that can get me closer to what I want. Thanks again to everyone. I appreciate the advice and feedback. I will keep moving forward. Here is the problem. You keep thinking that the product you build needs to be passed out to people. No. The product you build needs to work and be able to be built cost-effectively. Your first success is building a product that can heat paper clips up to 375. That's it. Nothing more. You are hung up on the metal casing, but really that is the least important part of it. It's like saying you can't build a car because you don't know its body shape. Build the engine first. Why can't you go online and buy a bunch of metal cases? Toaster ovens get hot to the touch, so just put a caution hot sticker on it. Maybe that's all you need. Like firmware said, if you build a perfect product and it can be beaten by a $15 toaster, then you will have wasted a ton of money. BTW, this is not paralysis by analysis. In fact, it is the exact opposite. These things should not bother you. This is the process. It's been a week since your original post and you are still at square one. I will bet that you could buy a curling iron, light dimmer and heat blanket and a coffee can and make a prototype within 4 hours. You could be on prototype number 3 or 4 by now. Can't you see that you are the one getting hung up by paralysis by analysis? Don't take my responses past or current as argumentative or defensive. It is just me trying to understand. I think a lot of it is this: the product you build needs to work and be able to be built cost effectively. Who am I to know how to build something cost effectively? I'm no expert, nor is this something I am trained in. This next part is probably where you think you are talking to a wall, again. Let's say I did build a successful proto using a curling iron, light dimmer and heat blanket and a coffee can. How does this get me any further along in the process? Yes, I get that it proves this can be done, but we already know products can be heated to 375. The next step would be to improve upon it, correct? But again, I go back to I am not a product engineer or developer. I am listening, just not fully understanding. Appreciate your patience. You keep assuming that you can heat a clip up to 375 in a small vessel. You assume that it is easy. This is the part where you may be wrong. You assume that you can take things and build a prototype that will work. You do not know that you can heat a clip to 375 without an oven. This is my point. You just think that it can be done. You are not even willing to think that your idea may not be realistic and that what you want may be impossible to build. This is where your downfall may be. I keep asking you, how do you know that your product will work? All you say is that products can be heated to 375. If this is going to be your answer, then why not buy a toaster oven? You can buy a curling iron, dimmer and heat blanket and totally fail at your prototype. By failing you will have learned so much more about your product. Dude. You should test your idea first. You're trying to skip a valuable step. I spent 6 months playing with prototypes, using 3D printers, casting molds, etc. Maybe a little too long, but what I learned about what I can and can't do was important. There are many things you will learn about your product by doing this. You'll also discover things about yourself. Ultimately it's your decision. To be honest, I don't see why you're not doing it. It should take you a weekend at most to do. Maybe less. Enough back and forth. Go build your heat box the best way you can. Even if it's a pose, at least you have something to use and learn from, so the next one won't be a pose. I had to make a bunch of prototypes of my product until I got it the way I wanted it. Right now you are on the fast lane of success, but all you are doing is standing around. You need to move forward. Go build your crap box and new ideas on how to make it better will come. Products don't usually look the way we envision them in the end. WTF? Are we being trolled? I don't know what you are trying to build exactly. But, you need to get good at this. You cannot count on anyone else to design your product for you. You first make it work. Try a number of different configurations and methods until you are comfortable with the process. I spent many years working with test equipment in an R&D facility. My job was in product design and test. I made prototypes on a regular basis. Find the places that have materials that you can use. As Bio said, leverage off of what is out there. You sound like frustration is starting to set in. Don't let it. You are moving forward in your journey. Enjoy the challenges. Don't skip prototypes. That's why you are having trouble creating the beta version. I'm building some protos right now for some things I am trying to source or manufacture. The purpose of my prototyping is to narrow the endless options down into some reasonable ones I can see. It's the difference between thinking you'll remember a phone number in your head and writing it down. If you don't prototype, you have nothing to work with, It's all just guesses and leave it to the pros, or going on Dragon's Den and saying you need them to hold your hand to even do anything. Proto-beta testing, pre-production testing and hopefully sales production, assuming you can make a working model, is Entrepreneur. Damn, I've got a very thick skull. Reread a lot of the advice or feedback and, yes, I need to create a proto. I don't know why it took so long to sink in. The advice I received was from some very heavy hitters and others as well, and I was too busy trying to prove my point of view versus listening. Sometimes, I just need to SDFU and listen and do. I've got two different prototypes I need to develop. First is the heat-resistant coating on the clips. There is a product I can buy cheaply at Walmart that should perform the intended heating of the clips. I will purchase it this weekend. As I try different materials on the end of the clips to verify adhesion, heat resistance, etc., I will start the work on the Heatbox Proto. Thanks everyone, I got a lot out of this thread. Good luck and keep us informed. Yes, good luck with your project. We are all looking forward with interest to the onward and upward claw. Your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become. Jim Rohn, excerpt from The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I was thinking you could something like as if socket soldered onto electric heating pad. Then build your casing around that. That ZIF socket is 40 pins. Open the lid and slide those clips in. Attach a temperature gauge on in too. Quick update. We are 90% sure we are going the licensing route. I purchased about $80 of materials to play around with prototypes. KitchenAid will probably be our first attempt for an agreement. Basically, we are just combining two products that currently don't coexist with each other. Very practical and logical. I've got the heat box and several different metals: velvet, Velcro, leather, felt, and a few others to test on the end of the clips. While we are testing the metals for adhesion to the clips and their heat resistance to the customer touch, I will reread its simple idea and start on our sell sheet. I will keep you posted and feel free to offer further advice or feedback. Thanks again. See above. After doing some research, maybe going to KitchenAid isn't the best choice. It seems our chances of getting an agreement are better with mid-tier manufacturers. I went to Amazon and got a list of about 25 companies by reviewing the by name after the title of the product. After I got through the brands, I recognized there were several I never heard of. I'm guessing most of these companies were just distributors. Is there a better way to search for mid-level manufacturers? Thanks for the help, and sorry if this seems like a stupid-ass question. Please someone tell me why paper clips need to be heated. I have been trying to figure it out for days now. It's messing with what I can surmise from Google. It seems the only use for heating paper clips is to fight boredom. Why is this a serious business idea? I'm not joking, please tell me. Dude, it's not about paper clips. Just about heating up something similar to paper clips. Where is the business application, and hence why everyone is giving serious idea feedback? I'm really confused. Thanks. Let it go. If Claw wanted you to know, he would have shared it. You have more important things to concern yourself with. What if you made the heat box with a magnetic removable lid? Then the clips attach to the magnet for heating and are easily removed after? Obviously, I have no earthly idea what you are actually trying to do, so that may not be an option. I'm still moving forward on this, slowly but still moving. Currently, researching ceramic coating applications to apply to the clips. Reads the first page of this thread, tries to endure all the confusion and cognitive dissonance, hoping that by page 5 this all will start to make sense. Skips straight to page 5, tries to eat his own face off. I call shenanigans he. But it generated curiosity, apparently. Way to go, Marketing expert, gonna take some notes here. If anyone ever figures out what this is all about, assuming this is not just some medium-level trolling, shoot me a message. I'm in serious danger of punching a wall or something. In a friendly way, of course. Like 180 kilometers or H-friendly. Just kidding. Good luck with your prototypes and keep us up. Updated tongue. I bet the paper clips are actually hair clips, and after putting hot hair clips on your hair, all the hairs get fused together so you don't need more hair clips. Kinda kills its own market, bro. Yep, you are right. Good call. Guess I will just quit working on the prototypes, close up shop, and call it a day. Not. Nice try though. He was a good guess, right? Anyway, check out electric shisha cools. Might be what you're looking for. It's all good. I got the heating source completed. Gotta figure a cheap way for the clips to retain the heat longer. We are getting close though. Paper clips made of lithium insulated with aerogel. Edit, sorry missed the remark, it had to be cheap. Any update? Currently working with a local manufacturer to develop the material. We were going to use mica, but it's too heavy and too expensive. My goal is to do a pilot run in 2 weeks. Quote equals, post, 408,545, member, 1 any update? Or quote. If you don't tell me what you're doing right now, let's just say, there will be one less member on this forum. Hint, name starts with K, ends with W. Anyhow, I've been following this thread for a while, can't wait for the end result. You can do that? I think he was suggesting murder, not banning. It's a cool idea, keep going. Autumn liked it too. We sent you a few things to ponder, however. Quick update. I've got a 3D rendering of my product done to add to my sell sheet. Next up is to create a 3D rendering of the actual application. It's actually pretty thrilling to see my idea come to life. I've got a ton of bullet points for the sell sheet benefits, testimonials, and features, but need to work on the copy. Thanks to all of you that have been helping me out. Okay, I'm confused at what your product is or is going to be. You want an oven to heat paper clips to 375 degrees. Is the oven your product? Or is the product a heated paper clip in which you will do something with afterwards? I believe the oven or heating mechanism is the main product, since that's what he's asking about. I'm not surprised. After reading all of the questions posed in this thread, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. There are obviously so many things that need to be figured out, but if you are trying to do it all at once, you'll end up just chasing your own tail. If you have the ability to make a prototype, no matter how rough, do it. You'll learn so much from the process. If not, step back a minute. Focus on the most important part of your invention, for example the heating element, then figure out what you need to know before you can make a decision about which part to use. It's about asking the right questions at the right time. Any update on my favorite thread? My guess is, a USB thumb drive destroyer. Update soon. Is this gonna be for removing ticks from dogs' ears? Bumpity bump 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 update please, thread is dead. Due to. It's cool. Getting extremely close though, thanks for asking. Process. So true. So, what happened here? Are there any updates to follow? Dead? Inquiring minds want to know. This thread is not dead. A dead thread is indeed, as one member lamented. There is only one picture of Emma Watson in this thread. Perhaps that thread's downfall was its inability to fulfill in the context of photography. Or live up to its name, walk the walk of the talk it talked, etc. Process. Day after day, week after week, hour upon hour, month after month, sometimes second after grueling, trapped in slow motion second. Year after year equals mastery. Get back to work.